It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host for today, Kevin McIntosh. With our top story of the day, one part of the holiday season is wrapping up the year. And as most people wrap up the year, a lot of people like to commit to New Year's resolutions. So to give a little bit more perspective on New Year's resolutions made around the Greater West Bloomfield area, we go to our Civic Center TV live reporter, Jake Schaff.
Hey, Kevin, good morning. I'm here live outside of Connect Senior Center on this very snowy Wednesday morning. And 2024 is nearing its end, which means it is time to start planning for 2025. That means start planning those resolutions. Every year, people make New Year's resolutions trying to improve themselves, but it can sometimes be difficult to manage those resolutions. I've had issues, and I'm sure you've had them as well. Which is why I've gone around to talk with some of the older residents of the community to hear what some of their resolutions are for the upcoming new year.
I would say be at peace and in harmony with God first, with other people. Think long term, seek help when you need it, stay fit, eat well, play ping pong.
One resolution is to take one step at a time. Don't give up and don't trip. Don't do it alone. Have other people to help you out. That's what I think would be most helpful. Don't give up.
Some very good resolutions to look forward to in the new year. Of course, some residents will also be aiming for some of the more common resolutions like diet, losing weight, picking up a new skill, which can be difficult to maintain, especially as you're first starting out. Local resident Jonathan Eby went on about a big reason as to why these resolutions can be such a challenge and offer some advice for some of the younger residents to help maintain them.
People see it as a short-term thing that they need to do as opposed to a process that they need to live. And if you get that pattern going, then it doesn't really matter when you decide to do the right thing. I mean, I think to live wisely all the time is a goal. None of us are wise all the time, but to see that as an ongoing goal makes a big difference.
Some very wise words to remember. But of course, like with anything, there are going to be inevitable slip-ups. But that's what happens. And when that happens, it's best not to get discouraged. As another local resident, Sydney Ruby, explained to us.
Well, I think as you go through the year, don't punish yourself, don't kick yourself because you haven't, made every resolution that you attempted to commit to. Just try and do better. And if you accomplish some of them, I think that would serve your purpose very well. Do limited resolution requests as you go along. Maybe you can increase them. It doesn't always have to be, I don't think, at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year. I think the main thing is don't punish yourself because you don't reach every resolution that you've tried to make, because it's sometimes very hard to keep them. And you want to give yourself some credit also when you do accomplish them, because then at least there's some incentive perhaps to do them some other ones the following year.
Every little bit goes a long way, and even the tiniest of changes can make a big difference. That's what I want everyone to remember this New Year's as you start to make those resolutions and as you work to maintain them. Jake Schaff with Civic Center TV, live at Connect Senior Center. Back to you, Kevin.
Thank you again, Jake. Try to stay warm out there in that snow. But wise words from some of our older residents right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. And it's great for us to take note of that also as we are planning our resolutions for 2025. The Tri-Cities are continuing to spread holiday cheer through their neighborhoods. Sylvan Lakers made their way door to door earlier this week to bring the music of the season to their friends and family close to home. We'll give you an opportunity to experience a bit of the cheer yourself here.
Frosty the snowman was a jolly, happy soul, with a corncob pipe and button nose and 2 eyes made out of coal. Frosty the snowman is a fairy tale, they say.
A beautiful gathering in the prettiest little city in Michigan, by the way. We want to extend a big thank you to Kelly Krause for capturing those moments and allowing us to share it right here on Civic Center TV for our Greater West Bloomfield area. Looking to shop local this holiday season? Well, I think you should, as well as some residents around West Bloomfield who are talking about supporting the businesses that make their community unique. As a matter of fact, here's what Christopher Forbes had to say when I asked him if he planned to shop local this year.
Of course, yeah. I actually do a lot of shopping in West Bloomfield. I live in West Bloomfield, and I believe in keeping the money in the community. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good people out here that owners, and I've met since I've been out here. I've been out here for a couple of years now. So, yeah, I definitely believe in that.
And even for residents like Charles Plankin, who live just a short drive away from the commercial areas of Greater West Bloomfield, putting in their efforts to make sure they shop Greater West Bloomfield for the holidays.
Every chance I get. The problem is literally where we live in West Bloomfield, there are trees and houses, nothing else. So you have to come out of where we live to do it.
And Jessica Sangui is from West Bloomfield, and she mentioned how she uses local businesses not only to buy gifts for her friends, family, and loved ones, but also to wrap and to box those gifts as well.
I try to buy, gift receipts and stuff for my friends and family's favorite nail salons and hair salons here. Those are really big. Also, going postal, that's a good one to get your boxes and have them make custom wraps and stuff. So I do.
And that's just a glimpse of the West Bloomfield community spirit, by the way. Remember, every dollar spent locally supports our neighbors, creates jobs, and helps our community thrive. So keep that in mind when you do your holiday shopping this year. West Bloomfield High School theater students shine at the state festival recently. West Bloomfield High School's Thespian Troupe 2070 had an incredible weekend at the Michigan Thespian Festival. This was in Lansing, by the way. All participating students achieved the highest possible scores in their Thespi competition, showcasing their theatrical and technical skills. The highlight was senior Lynn Barber, who was awarded over $430,000 in college scholarships, a testament to their hard work and talent. Congratulations, Lynn Barber. The Thespi program, by the way, offers students the chance to receive feedback from professional judges and grow as theater artists. It's a proud moment for West Bloomfield as these students continue to shine on stage and beyond. Congratulations to the entire troupe for their amazing accomplishments. You can congratulate them yourself on their Facebook page at West Bloomfield Schools for more. Great things that West Bloomfield schools are continuing to do. The West Bloomfield Winter Concert actually wowed the entire crowd. The West Bloomfield Middle School came alive with the sounds of the season during their annual Winter Concert. The event featured a delightful mix of holiday-themed music performed by the talented students under the direction of Miss Cole and Miss Kane, adding an extra layer of excitement to the evening with special guests Rodney Page, who you're seeing on Civic Center TV right now, a renowned violinist and a motivational speaker who joined the students on stage to deliver a memorial performance, by the way. This showcase of talent, dedication, and teamwork left the audience speechless, inspired, and full of holiday cheer, of course. A huge congratulations to everyone involved in putting on such an incredible show. Another opportunity for you to congratulate everything West Bloomfield Schools are doing on their Facebook page at West Bloomfield Schools for more. West Bloomfield Parks is preparing for their winter solstice event, which will be happening on Thursday, December 19th. Give you an opportunity to get outside with your family, enjoy a little bit of some of what nature has to offer. So join us right here live on The Splash to give out those details about the winter solstice. We have Parks Naturalist Supervisor, of course, from WB Parks, Lauren Azori. Thank you for being here, Lauren.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with the details of this event for anybody watching and listening, anticipating it. Tell us about the winter solstice.
Yeah, the winter solstice is a celebration of the return of the sun. So traditionally, the true winter date, the true astronomical day of winter to come, even though we've had our snow and cold already, is truly December 21st.
Right.
At West Bloomfield Parks, we put on a celebration on December 19th, and we were celebrating the return of the sun. So December 21st is the real winter solstice, and it's the longest, darkest night of the year. And the next day becomes a little bit lighter, and then the next day a little bit lighter. So we're celebrating all these special things in nature. There's so many cycles in nature, and obviously the sun and moon is a big cycle in nature. So the solstice is basically a celebration of nature and the winter months and the return of more sunshine. So can't go wrong with more sunshine and celebration. So we use fires to celebrate. So we have lots of bonfires and treats. We glow the trail, so it's a really magical.
Oh, some slight technical issues right now. No, perfectly fine. Yeah, we have you right back there, Lauren. But yes, you were just telling us about the activities and things going on at the winter solstice event happening December 19th, as a matter of fact. So I just want to kind of get into that. Can you just talk about how the activities that you all will be having, like you explained, the glowing craft station, the marshmallow roasting? How do you feel like that contributes to creating this magical and educational experience for all participants?
We always know that a walk in the night is unique, right? So people really appreciate going on something like that when it's guided. You don't tend to want to go out on a nature trail at night by yourself. So it's a great magical way to explore nature at night within the community or with your family and friends. So the trail is a big highlight. And just being out in nature at night is another part of that. But a huge, huge highlight is also our Oakland Astronomy Club. So they bring telescopes and also lots of knowledge on the night sky, so they can tour all the constellations and everything that's unique in the winter sky, because our sky changes every season. So they always have something new to share.
Yeah. First and foremost, I like that you all are involving the Oakland Astronomy Club, because they add a new perspective to it in general. And I also want to go back to what you were saying in regards to the celebration of the sun. I like that perspective. I've always known the winter solstice to be the start of winter, which people associate with snow and cold, and the darkest day of the year. But I like that you're basically saying this is a start when the sun starts to come out a little bit more and more as we continue to progress throughout the winter. So I love that perspective. And with that being said, can you just talk a little bit more about how this event highlights the beauty and importance of nature, specifically during the winter months?
Absolutely. So as you go along the trail, you're going to run into a naturalist in a few different stations and learn something about winter nature ecology. So what's happening with the animals in the wintertime. Some rest all winter long, like many of us humans like or wish we could do all winter. Some are very active in the winter. So we're learning about what's happening outside in nature in the winter as we go along the trail. And with that celebration of the sun, obviously, we really emphasize a lot of light. So along the trail, there's a lot of glowing elements. There's some light installations and some great photo opportunities within the trees and lights combined. And then you might be lucky enough to hear some owls or hear some crunching of feet behind you. So you never really know what you're going to find on the nature trail at night, but it's always magical.
Some crunching of the feet behind me. That sounded, I'm like, oh, okay. We're going to have to watch out for that. But thank goodness.
Not the intention.
Right? Thank goodness we have professionals and educators like yourself from WB Parks and the Oakland Astronomy Club who will be there. And once again, join us right here live on The Splash, by the way, Parks Naturalist Supervisor from West Bloomfield Parks, Lauren Azori, talking about the winter solstice event happening December 19th, by the way. I want to also make sure we highlight the fact that this is an outdoor event. It is happening during winter, so I want you to reiterate the measures that you all are taking to ensure not only accessibility, but safety for participants, especially during a time where, like we said, there could be potential ice and other things involved.
Yeah, so it's a 0.4 mile trail, so you do have to be ready to walk at least that distance for the event. But we do a trail check ahead of time, so we mark any roots that might be sticking up or hiding under the snow. We unfortunately don't have a makeup date, so if we have to cancel because of bad conditions, we just have to wait for next year. But we do definitely look out for those things. The other great thing is we have hiking poles that are able to borrow on a first come, first served basis. So if you need a little bit more help with your balance or something like that on the trail, hiking poles are available when you check in to head on to the trail. And if you come with a family member and they're just not comfortable out on the trail, there's many other things going on. So we have the fires in the back for marshmallow roasting. The nature room is open to people to come inside and explore the nature room as well. So if you get there and you just are not a you're a fair weather fan and can't make it out onto the trail, there's options too. So you can still enjoy some of the magic and not go on the trail if that doesn't work for you as well. But we always do safety checks before events, especially night trail events.
And I'm glad you do. That's why I said I want to take the time to reiterate that for anyone who may have that cross their mind about, certain elements that may be involved. Everything double check, T's are crossed, I's are dotted with that being said. During the winter and holiday months and times, Lauren, let's be honest. A lot of people aren't necessarily thinking about going outside. They want to make those memories inside, by the tree, at a fireplace, or whatever the case may be. Why is it important for our local families and individuals to engage with these outdoor activities during this time?
Yeah, there's a ton of scientific studies about engaging in nature and how being outdoors can lower your stress. And let's be honest, the holidays can be a stressful time for many. And so being outdoors and getting a breath of fresh air and being in green spaces is a true distressor. And so this is a great way to kind of de-stress and just take a few minutes to take a breath outside and appreciate what's around us.
Yes, I would agree. Just go ahead, bundle up, throw on a coat, scarf, hat, gloves, everything that you're supposed to wear, and just make yourself comfortable, take a walk, and go out there and enjoy the things that our great outdoors has to offer. Lauren, before I let you go, essentially, a couple more things. One, what would you personally hope that participants take away from this event, both memory-wise or just educationally?
Well, I hope that they enjoy spending time outdoors with their families because that's a great tradition to create. Like you said, all of these holiday traditions this time of year, being around a fire or being inside, but it's great to have a family tradition that includes the outdoors as well. So hopefully this inspires people to get outdoors. And this is a great multi-generational event. And we all know that spending time with people that are in our community, young or old, no matter what. So this event attracts many ages. It's a great date night for adults. It's a great family night with kids. There's lots of different options to bring everybody together in the outdoors. So I just think creating community and building memories outside is a great time to do that this year.
Yeah, I like how you snuck in the date night in there too, Lauren. Yeah, great time for that right now. Cuddle season and everything. All right, let's just stop that. But we appreciate your time, Lauren. Once again, for anybody listening or watching who may have just joined us, give out the details for this event one more time.
Yeah, Winter Solstice Celebration at West Bloomfield Parks. It's on our Civic Center trails on December 19th. It's pre-registered with time slots so that everyone has a little bit of a private time on the trail, not super crowded. So pick your time slot between 5 and 7 p.m. and you can register at wbparks.org. And lots of great activities. Telescope viewing with the Oakland Astronomy Club is always magical to see the night sky in a special way. The library will be there providing a fun game and activity, as well as the glowing trail and a glowing craft. And of course, the warm-up fires and s'mores. Can't go wrong with that.
Oh, that just makes it all come together right there. Thank you so much for even putting this together for our community. We truly appreciate that. Once again, join us right here live on The Splash, Parks Naturalist Supervisor from West Bloomfield Parks, Lauren Azori. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We hope to see you at the solstice.
Winter Solstice event to be specific, which will take place at the Recreation Activity Center on Thursday, December 19th. By the way, now, last time we did get word from Lauren Azori, she did say registration is still open. The deadline is today, Wednesday, December 18th. The 5 p.m. time slot may be sold out or filled up, but there are still time slots to register. So go directly to their Facebook, WB Parks on Facebook, or go directly to their website to register, wbparks.org, for more information. In the final days with the Department for West Bloomfield Police Chief Mike Padden, township officials and board members commended Patton's contributions, describing his retirement as the department of a, quote, pillar of the community. And we actually are being joined live right now on the Splash with the West Bloomfield Police Department Police Chief, Michael Patton. Thank you so much for being here, Chief.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me.
We appreciate that. A great opportunity to have you here and just talk about your career and reflect a little bit and talk about the future. Just kind of starting off, looking back, nearly 40 years of service with West Bloomfield. Are there any moments or achievements that stand out to you the most?
Well, first off, I would be grateful to Civic Center TV and Radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, for all the partnership that we have enjoyed with you over the years. You really are a treasure here in the community, and you're at every event, and you highlight everything that's positive and decent here in the community. We're very grateful. Look, I look back over 40 years, people have been asking me what's prompted me to consider retirement. And I start out by saying, well, it's only been 40 years. And maybe it's perhaps time to move on to another adventure in my life. But I look back at all the richness that we've enjoyed here working and serving in the West Bloomfield community. And I was very fortunate that my law enforcement aspirations led me here to West Bloomfield. I've had a very rich and full career over all these years, eventually having the great honor of leading just a tremendous team of men and women in public safety service here in the community. And I've been very fortunate in that. And I think I look back and, of all the successes that we've had here, all the challenges too,
right,
and I'm grateful for the men and women that I serve with here.
See, one thing I can say about you, Chief Patton, is some of the different events that I've attended as a member of Civic Center TV, as a reporter here. I tend to see you or other representatives from the West Bloomfield Police Department, but just speaking to you and your active involvement in the community in West Bloomfield specifically, how do you feel like your active involvement with the community actually shaped your approach to law enforcement and leadership in general?
Well, I think, look, it's important to be out in the community. We engage in what we generically call community policing. And so you see us at, almost every event. I was watching your previous interview with Lauren Azuri from our Parks and Rec about their winter solstice event. We'll have officers from the West Bloomfield Police Department attending the event, sometimes for public safety, but also just to show our support for our community partners like Park, who are really wonderful. But it's important to be out there in the community. As a chief of police, you're out there and you're listening to people and you're seeing them and you're listening what their concerns are sometimes. And you're taking that back to the team and telling them, look, we're meeting with people. This is what they're saying. This is what they'd like to see you do better or different. And I think those are important communications to have. There's a lot of our communications are done nowadays. People communicate a lot on social media, which is very important. But it's also important to be seen out in the community, that they can actually not only put a name, but a face to who their community leaders are. That would be including the police chief.
100%. And I want to add to that, because if police aren't around just for the regular, normal community events and things like that, sometimes people associate seeing a police officer with something that has happened, something tragic. So you're wondering, why are they here? Or something that could possibly happen. So to see them out just regular events, winter solstice, signing day, or West Bloomfield High School football or sports events, it just makes us all feel more comfortable knowing that they're just part of the community too. So thank you for explaining that and adding more context to it also. One thing that I'm not sure everyone is aware of, as we are preparing for the transition for you to retire and Deputy Chief Dale Young to step into the position as Police Chief for West Bloomfield Township, people may not know that you also, Deputy Chief Dale Young earned his right to become chief, but you also recommended him to become your successor. So can you just speak on the qualities that you saw in Deputy Chief Dale Young to actually recommend him being your successor?
Well, look, part of my decision to retire was also the confidence that I had in maybe who they were going to appoint next. And again, that's a township board decision, and they sought my input on it. But I was highly recommending Dale for the appointment. And look, he's a very experienced guy. He's a very measured guy. He's very smart. But one of the things I've always appreciated the most about him is he's also very curious. He was a guy that would come in and ask questions on how does that work? And what was your decision making about that? How did you figure that out, Chief? And I think that's good to have that kind of curiosity. Right? We always indicate everyone's always trying to be a lifelong learner. Dale's finishing up his master's degree here by the end of this month. And he's really committed to that. He's really committed to being a good in touch with both internally with the membership here, but also with the community too. And I think he's going to be an outstanding leader in the next generation here for the police department.
It means so much more knowing that you put that stamp of approval right there, too. So thank you for adding that. With us right here, live on The Splash, we have from West Bloomfield Police Department, the current Chief of Police, Mr. Michael Patton, talking about his tenure over the years, talking about passing the torch, and also plans for the future. But real quick, kind of reflecting on a few things. The community and board members, as we talked about earlier, they express a lot of gratitude for your service, and thank you. I want to thank you for your service. How has the public's response to your retirement impacted you personally, if at all?
Well, it was very humbling. You mentioned the board meeting this past Monday, and so many people in the community came out to share their best wishes and appreciation for, my service here in the community. And honestly, I mean, look, I've always not shied away from that kind of attention, because one of my points is it's never about me. It's about what we do for other people. And I really believe that. And I hope others will hopefully believe that too. But I was so grateful to have so many people come out and say so many kind things. And I always think that's not just a reflection on me, but it's really because of all the great men and women here. People talk about what a great job I've done. And I've always kind of pushed back on that, because I want to make it clear that there's a great team of men and women here 24/7 doing all this hard work. Mm-hmm. And I've always been blessed that, I just turn them loose every day. And I do what I do, my job is the chief of police, but I get them the training, the equipment, the staffing, and leadership. But they are really the rock stars. Our dispatchers answering their phone, our police service aides, meeting and greeting people at the front counter, our civilian support staff, our mechanics, our maintenance people. Everybody is part of this great team here that contributes to providing half of the public safety services here in the community. And I'm always grateful for them. But I just turn them loose every day, Kevin, and I have a great job, doing that. So I've always likened myself to being a conductor of a great orchestra, a little more woodwinds over here, a little more horns over here. Yeah. But they're the talent. They're the ones playing the instruments every day. They're the ones out there when it's hot and when it's cold and showing up on the scenes. And my job is to support them and get them everything that they need, because they really are the rock stars.
That's spoken like a true leader, Chief. That's spoken like a true leader. I can respect that and honor that right there. And just to kind of reflect on things, your almost 40 years of service right here in West Bloomfield has inspired a lot of people, whether they want to be in law enforcement or not. So with that being said, you have any advice you would give to people, future leaders of the Greater West Bloomfield area who aspire to make a positive impact on the community, whether they want to be in law enforcement or other areas?
Well, look, we've been fortunate here in West Bloomfield. I mean, we've always been a destination police department for people wanting to be a police officer and have that career. But it is a noble profession. And I think that's what we need to highlight on there. We can always point to areas of improvement or even failure sometimes, but it's still a very noble profession. And we can be picky and choosy in who we bring onto the team here. And I have that obligation as the chief of police. One of the biggest important things that I do is getting the right people in here to the team and assigning them the right jobs inside the department. But it's important to do all that kind of stuff. So we still want the best and the brightest people here to come and serve. It's a wonderful community to be in service to. They are highly supportive of everything that we do here. And it's anyone that comes here knows that, you are blessed to have landed here in West Bloomfield and to serve this community.
100%. I can agree with that, sir. I think it's very important also, as you are transitioning into your retirement, do you want to share any hopes or goals that you have for the West Bloomfield Police Department and or the community that it serves?
Continue on providing the greatest quantity and quality of law enforcement service. I mentioned at the board meeting the other day, if I can always leave everybody that, to serve and protect others is really the highest calling. And that service really coming every day, remembering that you're placing the needs of others ahead of your own. So despite the difficulties and the challenges that you face, they're worth it. It's worth, serving a community and protecting and serving people. And it's a rewarding career too. And at the end of the day, you remember all the great things, all the people that you helped, maybe the lives that you saved. And as you're sitting one day in an old rocking chair somewhere, you'll look back and know that you've done a great job and for a great community.
There you go. Well said. Thank you so much for those kind words of wisdom. And we appreciate everything that you've done right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Once again, West Bloomfield Police Department Chief of Police, Michael Patton, we appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the retirement. Like we said, a pillar of the community that we're sad to see go, but he's transitioning to the next phase of life. We got to respect and honor that. We'll continuously keep you updated with that transition right here on Civic Center TV. And we have plenty more to talk about as we are all dealing with the ins and outs, ups and downs of the holiday season. We'll discuss more. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. What people are watching in Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiver.
Hi, I'm Lauren Azuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Lauren Azuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
Good nutrition can help make sure you have enough iron, calcium, and vitamin C in your body, which can make it harder for lead to enter your bloodstream. Help protect your family from the harmful effects of lead.
Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Now, despite returning to pre-pandemic levels, over 1/3 of adults aged 50 to 80 still experience loneliness, and nearly as many feel socially isolated. This is according to a new 6-year study from the University of Michigan. So how do we cope with that, specifically during the holiday season? Joining us right here live on The Splash to give insight into coping with loneliness during the holiday season, owner and licensed clinical psychologist from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness, Dr. Melanie Schwartz. Thank you for being here, doctor.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate that. Now, we want to talk about this loneliness and isolation that some people are experiencing. Now, from your experience, I should say, how do you think loneliness and isolation is impacting older adults, specifically within our area of Greater West Bloomfield?
This is not an easy question. This is actually fairly complicated because there's so many factors that play into it. It's not just, there's one answer fits everybody.
Okay.
So really what it comes down to is, number one, time of the year. This is a really rough time of the year for the elderly because of the weather. And, how that affects them because they don't want to go out in the winter. So it's harder for them to go see family, to go visit with friends because they don't want to drive anywhere. Some of them don't even have cars, but, if they look outside and they see that the weather is rough, they don't want to go. Okay, so that's obviously going to contribute to their isolation and their loneliness. Another piece is whether they drive or not. Okay, there's so many people that the older they get, they don't drive, harder for them to get out. Their medical status, where they are physically, and also their emotional health. The piece of this that's complicated is social isolation and loneliness lead to depression, but are also symptoms of depression. So, it's which is what's causing what.
Yeah.
And so that's, a big piece of it. I think the area of West Bloomfield does a decent job because there are a lot of resources. Now, whether people are actually using them or utilizing them is a different story, but there are a significant number of resources for the elderly in this community.
Good to know. Good to know, first and foremost. And I want to explore that a little bit more as we continue to go on. But with that being said, are there any steps, or what steps can local healthcare providers take to address some of this social isolation and loneliness that we're dealing with in our area?
Well, I know that the physicians are taking more and more steps. I know, when you go into the doctor's office these days, they'll hand you a form to fill out, and it assesses your mental health. It assesses depression, anxiety, assesses your income levels, if you're struggling in any of those areas. So they are taking steps. The problem that I see with doctors is anytime I go to a doctor, I'm, talking to a doctor, they say, I don't have enough therapists or mental health resources to give out to my patients.
Right.
Which that's, I think, more of the problem is that there's not enough mental health availability in the area. And there's a ton. There is a ton, but it's still not enough. I mean, we see it at our practice. Also, another contributing factor is that the older generations are not always open to going to therapy. And unless their family is really going to push them, they're more of the just, I will deal with it. I can deal with it on my own. I'm not, I don't need somebody to help me, because that, is just a generational view. So there's that piece too. So having someone who is supportive enough to them to talk them into talking to someone is sometimes difficult too. But I do think that the healthcare system, or at least, your physicians, people's physicians, are really doing more than they have in the past too.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I think overall the term mental health has just become more popular within maybe the last 10 years or so.
Yes,
I'll give it maybe 15 or so. But other than that, I can understand why the older generations aren't necessarily in tune with that part of life and not too familiar. But like you said, as the term has become more conscious, we're seeing more resources, more healthcare professionals and providers come out to support that also. So I love that we're all noticing that and seeing that growth, but there's still a little bit more work to be done.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on, you spoke on programs locally that kind of help that. From your knowledge, are there any local initiatives or organizations within Greater West Bloomfield that you believe effectively combats isolation amongst our older adults?
Yes. Okay. Well, specifically, if somebody is living in independent living or assisted living, right there, they don't have to leave. Wherever they're living, there are plenty of programming all day long.
Right.
Okay. So that's one way. If you are living by yourself, there's Jewish Family Services, which is right on Maple and Drake. There's, the West Bloomfield programming, the Connect. There's the Richardson Center in Commerce Township. There's Ageways, which is in Southfield. And also there's AARP, and they have a line, like a resource line where you can contact them and see what services are out there. So there's plenty, and not including the churches and synagogues and temples, who you can contact as well. So there is a lot of resources, and that's just some of them.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of opportunity. It's just whether somebody is going to make the call to see what's out there.
Yeah, they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. All the resources right there in your face. Are you going to utilize them? With us right here live on The Splash, by the way, owner and licensed clinical psychologist from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness, Dr. Melanie Schwartz, talking about coping with loneliness and social isolation, specifically during the holidays. I want to talk about the pandemic and how that kind of made an effect, right? How do you feel the pandemic has reshaped our understanding of loneliness and isolation? Even being 4 years removed.
I mean, we still see it every day. I mean, just, if we didn't see it immediately, okay, it was different for the elderly populations because they were more isolated than anybody else. Because, if they were in a nursing home or assisted living or independent living, they couldn't leave their rooms. Okay, so they had way more isolation than the rest of us who were, if you chose to isolate, then you did. But we still see it. Number one, that was traumatic. Okay, trauma doesn't go away just because, it's almost 5 years down the line now. It's still there, and they remember it, and it did have an impact. And like I said, we are still seeing the impact in their behaviors, reminders of what things used to be. I mean, I sit here on a regular basis and I'm like, how was that almost 5 years ago?
Yeah.
It seems like it seems very far away, but very close to. And so they're still, everybody, I don't want to say just the elderly, are still, experiencing fallout from that time where they were so isolated and they were helpless, and there's nothing that they could do to, they had to rely on family members to bring them everything they needed, or, whatever supports that they had, that they were stuck, and it was very scary. So I think that, that was then. Now, if you're still experiencing isolation and loneliness, it feels the same. It doesn't feel any different. Okay. Even though it is different, there is a little bit more control in it, a little bit more freedom in it. They still feel exactly the same as they did 5 years ago, if there wasn't any type of intervention in the 5 years that have passed.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, we're all kind of still shaking it off a little bit for the most part. It affected some people and demographics a little bit more than others, but that's something that we should all still be conscious of. We're still less than a decade removed from that, so we all need to be a little bit more aware. With that being said, don't want to hold you up too much longer, Doctor, but I do want to ask, is there anything that you would recommend individuals or families in West Bloomfield do within our community to help reduce that loneliness and social isolation for older adults in our lives?
I think, people get really busy, and I think it's just being mindful that the elderly do struggle during this time of the year. And, if you are in town, or even if you're not, make sure that your family members are okay. If they're not, the resources are there to help, link them up with the resources to get them into therapy, even if you have to push them, to spend more time with them, to just make sure that they're okay, because this is a struggle for them, especially during this time of the year. Take the holidays out of it. It's difficult, and just be very mindful of how it's affecting everybody in your life.
I would 100% agree. Something as simple as a phone call, a checkup, or something like that, some type of connection could go a long way with helping that. Well, we want to thank you again so much for your time and your information. Once again, owner and licensed clinical psychologist for Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness, Dr. Melanie Schwartz. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So once again, a lot of information to keep in mind when it comes to emotional intelligence within the Greater West Bloomfield, especially during the holidays. And we'll continue to provide resources for that. And for everything Civic Center TV related and what we are talking about, make sure you stay connected on all social media platforms: Facebook, Civic Center TV 15, YouTube, Civic Center TV, or you can just take that smartphone of yours, get that camera out, and scan that QR code on your screen on civiccentertv.com right now. It'll give you a link to all of our social media platforms. With that being said, essentially, we are in the middle of flu season as well. The main question is, how are you managing seasonal sickness, and how do you approach flu shots and vaccines during this time of year? Something that's very, very important that we should all keep in consideration. With us right here live on The Splash to answer a few of those questions that are important, internal medicine specialist from Grand River Medical Associates, we have Dr. Jamie Tawil. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Thank you for having me. How are we doing today?
Doing just great, Doctor. And hopefully we're all doing great health-wise, but that's why we have you here to kind of help us answer a few of these questions regarding this. Now, we're seeing flu, COVID, vaccines, flu shots, all different types of topics going around. I just want to ask you, are there any specific steps that you recommend the Greater West Bloomfield community do to minimize the spread of the flu during the season?
Oh, of course. There's a lot of things that we can do to kind of minimize that risk of getting the flu, as well as any other respiratory viral illnesses. And I think that's going to, I always harp on this, but it's going to be the same as it always has been. Make sure that you are avoiding contact, you're exercising contact precautions. You're basically, covering up your coughing, you're covering up your sneezing, you are washing your hands after doing so, washing your hands between interaction with other people, maintaining a safe distance, but at the same time enjoying life. I also recommend, receiving the vaccines. Vaccines are going to be the best option to prevent the flu virus as well as other viruses for those particular vaccines. In addition to, if you do get the flu, make sure that you are staying indoors and staying away from people. And if caught in time, can get antiviral medications to really shorten the distance between the time you've had the flu to the end of symptoms, as well as make yourself a little bit less susceptible to spreading that virus to other people.
Doctor, let me tell you, you start off with some great tips, but let me tell you, to me, that seems like common sense to cover your mouth, wash your hands. Common sense, but we have to reiterate these things, especially from a professional like yourself, because those are some of the key things that helps stop the spread.
Of course, common sense is common sense, but at the same time, it needs to be repeated. People need to hear this more than once. People need to kind of be reminded. We are so far, we got some distance now between us and COVID, and people are, we're breathing a bit of a sigh of relief. And all of a sudden, those precautions that we were doing are no longer really happening. And I'm not recommending everybody go out there wearing masks by any means, but still, there are some things out there that can get you.
Exactly. Great point. With that being said, I want to kind of get into the whole vaccine and flu shot situation. From your experience, how do you address concerns, hesitancies, and even misconceptions when it comes to the flu vaccine, even specifically right here in our area?
Well, education is the key, obviously. So any concerns that people have, I like to be able to try and talk them through it, see what their concerns are. People are hesitant for different reasons, and I'm not gonna berate people. I know there are some physicians out there that are frustrated, and that frustration kind of bleeds through. And believe me, I understand, and I have my frustrations. But at the same time, people want to have a little bit more of a knowledge of what's going on, and to be able to approach this in a relatively constructive way to make sure that people aren't feeling like we're just going, take this and that's all you need to do. I think it's a bad approach. So I think just basically education, reminding people flu vaccine has been around for a long time. I think a lot of the things, any type of effects that people have from the flu vaccine are typically from the proteins that the flu vaccine is created with, which is an egg-based protein. So if you have an allergy to eggs, that it can cause some allergies. Reminding people that when you do get the flu vaccine, that you are going to feel a little bit under the weather, and that's because your body's responding to the vaccines, doing what it's supposed to do to prevent the next thing from happening. But people tend to say, I got the flu shot and I ended up getting the flu that day, and it's more or less a result of the vaccine doing its thing.
Right.
As far as misconceptions, that's going to be education and a willingness to be able to have that dialogue. And bottom line, it's just making sure that people are aware, knowing that the flu vaccine, people had a lot of concerns with regards to the COVID vaccine, and that kind of bled into everything else. But you have to realize that these vaccines are different vaccines. The flu vaccine has been around for a very long time. Its process has been in place. And so hopefully, people can have a little bit more of an open mind when it comes to these things.
Great explanation right there, by the way. And I'm glad that you added all that. Added all of that information too to kind of clarify a few things. With us right here, live on the Splash, internal medicine specialist, Grand River Medical Associates, Dr. Jamie Tawil, talking about COVID, flu shots, and vaccines. Very important question I have for you, doctor. A lot of people, including myself, struggling with the difference between getting the flu, getting COVID, or even nowadays something as simple as a cold. Can you please just explain the difference and maybe even the similarities between these and how testing can clarify the diagnosis?
Absolutely. So that difficulty in determining the difference between those can be a bit of a problem, because I get a lot of patients that would have the flu or COVID and not get tested for it because they think, it's not COVID. I had COVID before and this isn't it. Unfortunately, COVID's kind of having new different variants of itself that can present differently. The flu is kind of the flu. It tends to do what it does, but people present differently every year. So, for major differences that I would probably, viruses are viruses. They kind of hit you from all over. People tend to feel miserable from head to toe. They have fevers. It starts with a sore throat. They're achy. They're fatigued. Those things are pretty much a viral symptom. versus something that's kind of like a pneumonia, which would only impact the lungs. I mean, you'd have the effects of having a pneumonia, you'd have fevers as well and things like that, but you know where that problem mainly is, or a sinus infection. It's just all up in here. Between flu and COVID, flu tends to be a little bit more quick in onset. It tends to hit you like that. COVID tends to, I might add, everybody presents differently, but tends to take a little bit more time. It's kind of more of a slow build over a day or two, as opposed to the flu where you just suddenly get hit with that. COVID still has that signature, loss of sense of smell, loss of taste. So that might be something that could do you into COVID. The new player on the scene, so to speak, is RSV, and that's the one that's causing some significant issues with it's a respiratory thing. It's going to cause a lot of coughing. So, and we're also seeing some stuff going around where people are just having this nagging cough that's just hanging on for weeks. They feel better, but that cough ain't going away for a while. We throw everything at them and nothing's really changing. That's kind of anecdotal, what I'm starting to see a lot of. But we're now doing these rapid tests that are what they call basically a respiratory 4, and it tests for influenza A, influenza B, COVID, and RSV. So that's a one-time swab for 4 things. Most doctors are doing that. Most centers, most pharmacies are doing that, and most of those are available as well. So.
Perfect. We appreciate adding that, because you just had a light bulb go off in my head about a few things, doctor, and that's exactly why we have you here. We're a little bit pressed for time, but we appreciate all your information. Any additional information that we didn't discuss regarding flu, COVID, vaccine, RSV, or anything of that nature?
No, just do yourselves a favor and try to get the vaccine at your comfort level. I would really encourage that to get done, at least at a minimum. If you have some hesitancy, please reach out to your doctor. If you feel you're getting sick, make sure you're getting evaluated just to make sure it's not something you can give to everybody else. Please have a safe, healthy, and happy holiday.
You heard it from the doctor himself. It means so much more. Once again, internal medicine specialist, Grand River Medical Associates, Dr. Jamie Tawil. Thank you again, sir.
Have a great holiday. Thank you.
You too. Some things to keep in mind, especially as we have a population and community of older adults. So keep yourself safe and keep those around you safe as well, as we are continually going through the winter season. The Optimist Club of West Bloomfield is preparing to gift and give right here in our community with a local event that they've been doing for a while, giving families in need an opportunity to celebrate the holiday with joy. Joining us right here live on The Splash, a member of the Optimist Club of West Bloomfield, we have Mr. Bob Schiller. Thank you for being here, Bob.
You're most welcome. Thanks for inviting me, Kevin.
Yes. So very exciting 2-day event, if I'm not mistaken. I just want you to kind of paint that picture for anyone who's never heard of or seen or been to this event. Talk about this 2-day event in operation.
Well, our 2-day event is right around the holidays. We've been doing this since 1972, which was the first time that we had an Optimist Club in West Bloomfield. What we do is we gather information from the school district, the counselors, the social workers of families in need, and we try to help them elevate their joy during the holiday season.
And you are doing a mighty good job with everything so far. Everyone that we've talked to from the Optimist Club of West Bloomfield has been extremely excited about this, love the turnout and love helping people, which is what we want essentially. But how has the families of Greater West Bloomfield responded to the efforts during this holiday season from the Optimist Club?
Well, the gratitude is always very heartwarming. I think that what we don't realize is that as a community, we're perceived as being very affluent, when in reality, through our efforts every year, we go to houses that look like they're very well kept, but inside the story may be different. So we look forward every year to helping those in need within our community to make a positive impact and bring out the best in them.
Bob, you just said one right there, man. I like that. You will see the outside of these homes, the outside of people's lives. You would think they're living so good, so lavish inside there. but then you go in or you speak to someone and you see it's the complete opposite. They may be in a situation worse than you, and sometimes that's the don't judge a book by its cover type of theory also. So thank you for providing that insight. Also makes so much sense. We also know that you all have a partnership with a few local organizations, the school, the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Talk about how these partnerships actually enhance this gift giving and food basket distribution.
But we are very fortunate to have made very close ties with all of the first responders, service clubs, with our service organizations within our community over the years. Members of our community are leaders of the fire department, the police department, the school district. So we've been very fortunate to have those ties all along. We value every one of those relationships and look forward not only working with them during the holiday season, but throughout the year. Lots of times these first responder groups are looked at only as people who come to resolve challenges within the community, not as the caring organizations that they really are.
Yep.
And we try to enhance that within our club and with them as members.
Yeah, well said. Sometimes we just look at people for the profession that they're in and don't necessarily look at them as a neighbor, someone who lives in our community, or just a person in general. So that takes the opportunity to do that, humanize some of the people that's coming around to actually do those great things in our community. Well said, by the way. One of the members of the Optimist Club of West Bloomfield joining us right here live on The Splash, Mr. Bob Schiller, talking about their upcoming Optimist Club event where they'll be gifting, wrapping, and distributing gifts and food baskets to local families in need in West Bloomfield. Now, we know that this event isn't just 100% Optimist Club members. There are a few volunteers from the community, if I'm not mistaken, that'll be help wrapping and distributing gifts. Can you just talk about the community's involvement in this entire event also?
I can do that. The outside participation with the pandemic that affected everybody, as the dynamic has changed. So the opportunity to get out into the community and get help for helping us wrap presents and that the efforts that we put together to make this happen has changed because of the pandemic. But anybody who wishes to help us participate could go to our Facebook page, West Bloomfield Optimist Club, and simply put in a message that they'd like to help, and we'd reach out to them for the help. We have a few people helping with us right now, but certainly to get a feeling for what our club's all about and what it feels like to make a positive difference in the community and to give back as opposed to constantly looking to receiving is quite an experience that's hard to explain.
Yeah. No, let me tell you something. It's like, I don't want to compare it to going to the gym, but it's one of those things that where even if you don't want to do it or not in the mood, once you actually do it, you feel so much better spiritually. You just feel so much better in general. And then the universe in general, sometimes it pays it back. Not even looking for something to come back to you, but sometimes it comes back to you in different forms. Well said also. Mr. Shirley, we want to thank you so much for your time and thank you for being here. Lastly, before we let you go, any information regarding the event, if people are interested in participating, finding out more, or even coming to see what it looks like, please give that information away now.
All right. Well, this is going to be held at Fire Station number 5. We are expecting 40 families. Now we have 60 with 124 kids that are going to receive gifts. We also give out a full holiday dinner, turkey dinner, and some staples for after the holidays. Every family is contacted given a time slot to come by the fire station. And we really have it organized so that the whole event only takes about 2 hours during the morning. So, it's a fantastic thing to see. Right. It really does give you insight into the true montage of our community, that, how people do struggle, and the humility and gratitude that they show that someone is trying to take care of them.
Right.
So it's a fabulous event, and it'll be happening Saturday is the actual event. The wrapping is Friday at the fire station. So we really look forward to this particular event because we actually get to speak with all of the recipients of the gifts being given. We're working with the Kego Harbor Coat Club, and we're going to be giving out coats also to these families.
Yes. Thank you to the Jacket Club of Kego Harbor for their help also. We want to thank you so much for your time. Once again, member of the Optimist Club of West Bloomfield, Mr. Bob Schiller. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Absolutely. A lot of key things, key information and events going on in the West Bloomfield area, and you get all that information from us right here, Civic Center TV, for everything Greater West Bloomfield. Want to thank you all for watching and thank our producers for making the show go, Calvin Brown, Tyler Keefe, and Jake Schaff. I'm your host for today, Kevin McIntosh. Per usual, we are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.